Real Country 1430 AM and 1073 FM WRDN. Brian Winnikins at World Dairy Expo. And thank you to our Expo broadcast sponsors, including Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, Elsivia Co-op, UtterTech, Wisconsin Farmers Union, Synergy Co-op, Osteoplastics, Annabis Silo, AMPI, Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin, and Compeer Financial. And joining us is Tim Swenson, Dairy Business Consultant with Compeer Financial from the Baldwin office. And we're going to talk a little bit about getting ready for next year, even though we got the harvest going on. I get it. But some things that maybe dairy farmers and really all farmers can do to kind of keep the finances all stable as well. And Tim, thanks for joining us. The last year and a half has been kind of a challenge for dairy farmers, but it seems like they've been able to and really farmers in general, but they've been able to kind of keep the finances okay.
Yeah, actually, the last 18 months or so with the government money that's came in, with the crop production that we've had, milk prices have been fairly stable. For the most part, our dairies are feeling pretty good about where they're at. And so it actually presents them with some challenges that they haven't had to deal with for a number of years, in that they're having to look at prepaying products and getting the supply chain issues solved, that normally if we need some more gloves in the milking parlor or whatever, we push a button and they're there a couple days from now, and right now we're having to think forward on a little bit of that. Feed prices have backed off just a little bit from their peak, so we're able to lock in some margins again on most of our operations. I think we got a little bit lax with the cheap feed prices that we had for a number of years there, that we didn't include that feed price when we were locking in milk and really looked at that margin. We've got to ramp that back up and really be looking at where margins are available. But for the most part, we're building some working capital so we've got some working capital to work with. We've got a number of producers that are considering doing some delayed capital expenditures, some delayed repairs that they've had to put off, are making some of those. As always, when they're in the combines and in the choppers, everybody's feeling a whole lot better. And we've had a really good harvest season so far, and hopefully that continues. But I'd say they're cautiously optimistic right now.
You mentioned the challenges, okay, and you also mentioned capital improvements. But boy, when you look at even the inputs for capital improvements, now granted lumber prices have gone down, but all the other stuff has gone up. And in some respects, is it maybe better to maybe try to work with Compeer Financial, pencil some of this out and say, maybe it's too expensive to do this right now, we should wait?
Well, and I think that's the key part of that, is that we need to do the planning, and we need to do the homework so that we can understand that. And for some operations, they may still need to heal a little bit longer, and that decision may need to be delayed. For others that have weathered the storm fairly well, they may be getting to the point where they can make those considerations and understand it. So many times when we get a huge run up in prices in the past, we never get back to where we're used to, and so the decreases that we've seen so far, are we going to get a whole lot more back? We don't know, but sometimes you just have to proceed forward and make the best choices that you can with what you know today.
So if I'm a dairy farmer or any type of farmer, and I'm going, okay, what should I do for 2022 for my finance needs? What's the first thing we should be looking at?
Well, I think, as I mentioned, we're starting to build working capital, but working capital is the key to everything as we move forward, because that's your ability to pay bills when you need to pay them and not have to get the extended finance charges and everything else. So by building working capital, it really allows you to manage your business for the opportunities that may present itself. And I think as we look into 2022, we do need, as I mentioned, to look at those various inputs, whether they be feed, seed, discounts that may be coming this fall. We also need to, even though fertilizer prices are at some of the highest levels we've seen in a number of years, we may need to lock that in to make sure that we have product available for us when we need it next spring. May not be at a price that we're very happy with, but being able to have it is a whole lot better situation than not have it when we're putting seed in the ground.
Talking with Tim Swenson. He is a dairy business consultant with Compeer Financial from the Baldwin office. You mentioned getting fertilizer now or seed now, prepaying some of that now. It seems like the last few years it's been producers have kind of delayed that because of low prices or other issues. But how important might that be for 2022 to do this now? So come in, talk with you guys, maybe get that financing now so you can get that.
I think we need to be talking with our supply vendors and really get some better understanding of what their thoughts are. I mean, the news that we're hearing out of some of the major fertilizer producing countries, they're really pulling back because of natural gas prices, really pulling back on nitrogen production. And as a result, prices are going higher. But like I mentioned, product availability may become the bigger issue than price. So getting those finances lined up, getting those discussions had now, at least gives you the option to pull the trigger on some stuff if it makes sense for you. But at least you've done your homework. You know what you're being faced with.
How can you help those dairy farmers and those farmers in general do that homework?
Well, that's one of our brand promises that Compeer Financial has, is that we really are trying to be part of your overall operation and management situation and not just a lender of funds. We want to understand your operation. We want to help you understand your operation better, and that's really the approach that we want to take with all the producers that we work with.
And so if producers have questions, it's pretty easy. They can just either call you at the Baldwin office or any of the office, the Mondovi office, Arcadia office as well, and just set up a time. And you can come out to the farm. They can come into the office. You can even do it via Zoom, right?
COVID has taught us that we can go to the farm many, many different ways, and that's the one thing that it has taught us, that we have been able to deliver to the farm in whatever function is necessary.
One other question, that I know it's hard for you to look into the crystal ball and really come up with an answer, but what about those interest rates? Boy, they're still incredibly low. Is that coming to an end?
Yes, it's coming to an end. When? That's the huge question. And we've been talking about this for a number of years. That we all know that we're at absolutely historically low interest rate prices, and that's what's allowed some of the recovery with our producers to occur. Is that they have been able to, when they've needed that variable rate financing, it's been at a very reasonable rate. But we all know as the economy heats up and everything else, all the indications that we are seeing is that we are going to start seeing rates rising within the next few years. Is it a substantial raise? That I guess that is yet to be seen. I think if we do see some substantial raises, it means the economy is really picking up. That should mean a good thing for our producers, whether it's dairy or crop producers. It should mean that there's demand for product. But yeah, I do think it's coming. So.
Best to plan ahead to farmers as well. Again, you can talk with Tim or any of the staff at Compeer Financial in the Baldwin office, the Mondovi office, also the Arcadia office as well. That's Tim Swenson, dairy business consultant with Compeer Financial out of the Baldwin office. From World Dairy Expo, I'm Brian Winnikins.